In this video, I'm going to cover the biggest misunderstanding I see business owners have regarding the flow of their money, the flow of the income that comes into the business and how to allocate it to the correct places. If you get this wrong, you will always roller coaster. Your income will come up and down, and as a result, you'll always be broke, you'll always go into debt, and you'll actually lose your passion for business because you won't get that thing you aimed for at the start, profit and this beautiful life, right? So let me show you how the strategy works or how this plan works. Now, first and foremost, money comes in as a flow, right? Money is just a flow. It comes in through our sales. That creates total income. Some people call it total revenue. Now, from that, we less VAT. That's not our money. That has to go to the tax man. In South Africa, that's SARS. Less cost of sales is the next one we subtract from our total income because this money as well isn't ours. This is our supplier's income. So once we've subtracted only these two things, then we are left with a thing called real income. Now, real income is not to be confused with net income. That's something different. Real income is just what I'm using here to explain I've got total income, less VAT, not my money, less cost of sales, not my money. That gives me the real money to run my company on. Now, then I go and I say, my strategy starts with 10% to marketing. And I literally allocate and flow that money into a separate bank account in my bank. So my income account here would maybe even not even be a current account. It could be an income holding account, like a savings account, something like that. But usually this is a current account. From this account, I then transfer 10% into my marketing account. That can be a savings account. The next one, 10%, I allocate to profit. Then I allocate 20% to reserves. Now remember, reserves has a few things that we have to do with it, but this mainly stabilizes my business's income. If you don't have reserves of at least about 6 months to 12 months of your monthly expenses, you're at risk as a company. Then we allocate 20% to operating expenses. In this example, some people have more operating expenses or less. Then 30% to payroll. Usually payroll is up to 60% even here, but 30% is the correct method to do because then you actually have a lot more of these other buckets filled up. And then finally 10% I allocate to my tax fund. It's like a provision I make. Now, obviously, 10% isn't the 27% corporate income tax is at, but I know when I do this strategy, roughly 10% of my real income will be enough money so that once a year I can pay my tax completely. Your accountant should be able to give you an exact figure on this one. Now, that would mean my books, in my way of doing it, is 100% balanced because this all adds up to 100%. If I do it this way, there's always money for ads or whatever marketing you like, if it's an expo or so. And more importantly, I, as a business owner, am happy because there's profit for me. And on top of that, if I work in this business, whatever post I might have as a manager or even a salesperson, I also get a salary from payroll. And if I do this correctly, I have reserves so that if there's a rainy day, let me try and draw a cloud here, I don't have to stress because there's money in reserves. And if there's any random expenses through the month that makes my money go up and down, which business is random, I can also take it out of that. And finally, I can also expand my business and buy machinery or buildings from this reserve or from this profit. And this way, I've got some moves to pull inside my business. Now, I know a lot of people have you asked, give me this in a real life example. So let me just go over an example here of this. So in this case, we have 10 million total income. Now we subtract 1.5 million for VAT. We subtract, in this case, a 40% or 4 million for cost of sales. If you're in the services industry, obviously it's going to be less than in the manufacturing. But then this is 4.5 million real income, not net income, remember? Now, from this amount, I subtract this 10%, which would be 450,000. Goes to marketing. Profit, 10%, 450,000. Reserves, 900,000. Operating expenses, 900,000. Payroll, 1.35 million. And then 10%, roughly 450,000. In this cycle, I would set aside for my taxes. Now, if you want this in a spreadsheet form, you can come to my community, link in my bio. But I hope this video has been really helpful to you. Comment below if you want me to do any other videos for you. Cheers for now.